guys, it's Maya again with another 5 minutes of tips and tricks and whatever. So this time I wanted to share some tips about working with yeast dough because I find that a lot of people are finding it kind of complicated, maybe a bit scary, so they tend not to go to the whole roll making, bread kneading, and all the baked goods and pastry stuff. They're just afraid to handle it. So a few tips that might help you make it a bit less scary and a bit more sensible. Just, I don't know, put some common sense in it. So the first tip is whenever you're dealing with yeast dough, so you put in the flour and the yeast and the salt and the water and everything, make sure you knead it at least 5 minutes with your kneading hook, because what happens is the longer you knead it, the more gluten you create, basically. So there is gluten in the flour, but what the gluten needs to become is a net, basically, inside the dough to create a fluffier, softer, nicer bread or roll. So you need to make sure you knead it at least 5 minutes. If you do less than that, then you're gonna have awesome bread, but sometimes it'll come out a bit dry or a bit stiff, so you don't want that. Another tip is when you are asked to let the dough rise and double its size. Sometimes it takes time, especially in winter, especially in North America where it's a bit colder. A good tip to kind of make the whole process a bit faster is use a bowl with hot water. So what you do is, it's like using a double pot. You take a bowl of hot water, basically, and then you take the bowl with your yeast dough and put it on top of it and cover it with a clean kitchen towel. This way the dough gets the heat it kind of loves and needs. The yeast get it, but it's not too much. So it's kind of the perfect situation for the yeast. Like, they're nice and they're warm and then they can rise. So a bowl of hot water. Do not put it in the oven. It'll produce dry dough. So just a bowl of hot water. When you are adding water to the dough, just make sure you add it gradually. So you have the flour and everything in it, all the dry ingredients. You need to add the water now. If your recipe is asking for, say, 1 cup of water, just put ½ cup of water first, start the kneading, and then while you're mixing and everything, just gradually add more water until you have the consistency you need. Sometimes you'll need even less than 1 cup of water, even if the recipe is asking for 1 cup, just because different flours act differently and absorb differently, and the grains are different, so the grinding is different. Everything is so different. So just use your common sense, but put the water in gradually. That is very important. Another thing is salt. Salt is not a good friend with the yeast. When you are asked to put all the dry ingredients, what I do is I usually put the flour and then I put the yeast and then I mix it together with my hands or with a spoon, whatever. And then I add the sugar, mix it again, and only then I add the little bit of salt that is needed, because what happens is that the salt is kind of preventing from the yeast to be active, and then they don't like it. It's kind of canceling their activity, so it's gonna rise, but it's gonna rise slowly, and depending on the amount of salt you're adding, it might just not rise at all. So make sure that the yeast do not come in direct contact with the salt, and then you should be good. And one last thing is when you are letting the dough rise, it should rise until it doubles its size, and then it's very important to deflate it. So that's where you can punch it and just, take some stress out, punch your dough, and just make sure it's fully deflated with no air bubbles at all. and then let it rise again. That'll make sure that the glutenette is strong and it's good, and it's going to result in amazing bread or yeast pastry or whatever it is you're doing. That's basically it. If you have questions or comments, or you'd like to share other methods, I'm super happy to share information with you. Just comment below. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel so that we can be in contact and I can share more stuff with you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.